My name is Alicia Burnett and I'm a third year student midwife, and I'm absolutely delighted to be speaking with you all today, and I'm very eager to share with you my presentation. Okay, so how was life for our student midwives before COVID-19? We were going to university, we were sitting our theory blocks, and we were also going into clinical practice. These are a few of my colleagues here. I've got lovely Laura, Lika, Surya, and Ali. But what does life look like for our student midwives now? There have been a lot of changes. The landscape of midwifery education in the UK and across the world has changed drastically. So the first change there has been is that universities have closed their sites, so we are all undertaking remote learning. Here in the UK, we've also been given the option to opt in or to opt out of clinical practice. And for each year group, that looks very, very different. So first years have been removed from clinical practice entirely, so they're doing 100% theory. For second years and for third years in the first 6 months of their degree, first 6 months of their third year, pardon me, they've been offered the option of an 80-20 split between theory and practice. With that comes the option of being paid for their services to the NHS. But for third years, in the final 6 months of their third year, things look a little bit different again. So they'll be doing 100% of clinical practice in an extended clinical placement, and they'll be getting paid at a band 4. And we'll no longer be supernumerary. I've left the reference there at the bottom for you to have a look at. This is what I'm really interested in. I'm interested in how students are feeling at this time. And there are a mix of emotions. Some are positive, some are negative, but all are completely normal. I want to place some emphasis on acknowledging our feelings at this time. And here's a summary of some of the feedback I've received from students. So some students are excited about going onto the front line, as we're calling it now. But there's also a mix of anxiety and fear. There's fear around contracting COVID-19, particularly in view of the fact that there isn't always a good supply of PPE. But this is something I'd really like to focus on: guilt. I'm having to opt out of going into clinical practice at this time because I'm shielding one of my family members, and I feel a great amount of guilt around this. And I know that is also the case for many of the students that I have spoken to. I want to send out this message to you that you're still a valued member of the healthcare team in this country. I'm getting a bit emotional. You are still a valued member. Whether you opt in or opt out, we are all student midwives. We are all in this together. There's also been a bit of confusion because the information we're receiving changes every day. There's a very rapid pace of information being sent to our universities and from the practice areas. And there's also a degree of sadness. We are, in a way, we're mourning the loss of the degree that we thought we were going to have. The pathway that we were currently on has now changed very, very drastically. We're worried about whether or not we're going to graduate on time. There's a lot of mixed emotions. So I want to focus on some strategies to maybe cope with these emotions that we're having at this time. Okay, a number of concerns. Firstly, there are financial concerns that have been reported by students. Am I going to get my student loan? Will I still be paid my student bursary? I would advise you to have a look at the Student Finance England website and also at the NHS bursary website. They have reported that you will still receive your student loan and you will still be in receipt of your NHS bursary. If you have further concerns regarding your financial status, I would advise you to go and seek help and advice from your student union. There are also concerns around our academic lives at the moment. And the best source of support that I could recommend to you are your university lecturers, as well as your student union. You may have the option of getting an extension, and there is also the option of applying for mitigating circumstances. Safety is another huge concern, especially regarding PPE. Just yesterday, the NMC released some guidance about PPE in clinical practice, which applies to nurses, midwives, nursing associates, and also the students of all three of those professions. So I would advise you to have a look at that. You can also ask to be referred to occupational health, your lecturers, and you can also seek support from your practice area. Childcare is another huge concern. I want to let you know that the government has mandated that we now have key worker status as healthcare students. So your children are eligible to go into daycare and to school. Mental health, we are all undergoing a huge international trauma. So mental health is a concern for many of us. I would advise you to speak to your loved ones at home, your friends, members of your cohort, and also the student union wellbeing team and your lecturers. Excuse me, I'm a bit nervous. This is a list of reputable sources of information for student midwives at this time. There's a lot of misinformation out there, but you can look at all of these resources here and be guaranteed that they are from reputable sources. And this is the NMC, the RCM, the Council of Deans of Health, Health Education England. These are the people that are working together so hard to make sure that this is as less of a trauma to us as possible, okay? So this is where you should be getting your information from. This is what I highly recommend. Okay, this is my little pet project. Since I've had to opt out, I've been sitting at home and thinking, this is happening all over the world to all of us, but we don't know how each of us is dealing with this situation. So I thought up a way to bring all of the student midwives in the world together. And I've come up with this blog, the COVID-19 Cohorts. So I've been sourcing accounts from student midwives from all over the world. I've spoken to students in Rwanda, Jamaica, Iran, Saudi Arabia. I'm going to speak to students in Norway, Turkey, Bulgaria, the USA. So that's my little project. And this is where you can find it. It's based on the All for Maternity website. So the website is www.allformaternity.com. Open access, so it's free for everybody to access. This is where you'll find it. And this is the first published blog. It's by a first-year student from the UK, so you can read her account of how she's feeling at this time. I really want to hear from you. We can all learn from each other, and we can all generate a global network of student midwives. You have a voice. I'm trying to provide you with a platform for you to share it. Your voice is important. We need to raise the profile of the hard work that we are doing during this pandemic, and this is my way of contributing to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you.
That's fantastic. Can you just clarify the that website, which looks absolutely fabulous, absolutely fabulous, and just the sort of thing that you can sort of tune in and get lots of information. Is it an open area that anyone can go into, or is there a degree of confidentiality? Are there ground rules as you go in?
So the website is www.allformaternity.com. And when you get in contact with me, I will send you a list. I will send you a brief, and within that brief, it contains details such as you have to maintain the confidentiality of your practice area. I will also afford you a degree of anonymity so that you are not able to be identified through what you're writing. It's just very important that everyone that submits to the blog maintains the confidentiality as set out by their regulator of midwifery in their countries.
Yeah.
This is a safe space for you to open up and share your experiences. I want you to be protected, and these are the safeguards that I've put in place to make sure that happens. We're a really, really approachable team. We just want you to get your voice out there because you're working so hard and you deserve recognition for it.
Yeah, that's really helpful, Alicia, because I think people can get anxious about what they're allowed to put in these sort of sites. So I think that's really helpful. And have you had very much kind of feedback from student midwives who've been previously nurses and are being asked to go back into nursing? Because that's an area I'm quite interested in, because that if in a way, if you're working as a student midwife, you're getting all the experience you're adding to your portfolio for when you qualify. And I would imagine that a student midwife who is being asked to go somewhere else might worry that, oh, I'll never get all my deliveries, or I'll never get my antenatal care. I don't know if you've had anyone contacted you about that.
That's an area of interest to me also. I have heard from a few student midwives that are on the shortened course. So they've already got their registration as a nurse. Some of them feel immense guilt about continuing their role as a student midwife when they know that they have skills and knowledge that could be applied as a nurse at this time. So there is quite a bit of guilt surrounding that.
I've also been working with students like you, Alicia, working alongside students on the shortened programme who are contributing alongside their studies, especially those that are doing their theoretical components. So working with the support of the lecturing team, ensuring their safety, of course, and ensuring they're able to maintain their studies, but also are contributing their own time to in the weekends or in the evenings to contribute, especially those with skills in critical care. And I just think it's an opportunity to say thank you to those amazingly brave and also, you know, like Alicia said about, you know, it's difficult if you're unable to because of your family circumstances to, you know, you may be feeling even more guilty, but also to say thank you to those people that feel they can contribute in those ways.
Because I think it's important. Everyone's contributing in a very different way. And it's interesting that Alicia, I think in this whole discussion we've picked up, and Alicia's picked up this whole guilt area, which seems to be, you know, it's bad enough feeling guilty, anxious and worried about working without the sort of burden of the guilt that you're not doing the right thing, or you should be doing this, that and the other. So that's been really, really helpful and interesting, Alicia. But we'll come to you a little bit later with some more questions, because I'm having questions fed from the audience even as we speak.
Thanks for watching this video from the Maternity and Midwifery Forum. For more expert opinion and analysis, hit the button below to subscribe.